You are listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. So let's talk a little bit about the president and this censure and this supposed impeachment and all this garbage that's flying around with the president's name on it. Let's see. Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson defended President Trump from charges of racism, saying the commander-in-chief is not a racist and loves his country. I have the advantage of knowing the president very well. He's not a racist. His comments are not racist. But he loves the country very much, and, you know, he has a feeling that those who represent the country should love it as well. I agree. I agree completely. You got a problem with the nation? Fine. Okay, this country has flaws. This country has faults. But to parlay those faults and flaws into a constant din of public, let's see, craptism? Is that a word? If that's what you're going to do, leave this nation. Leave this nation to the people who love it. Because I got to tell you, near as I can tell, there are a handful of people that are following in your footsteps. A handful. If the president was truly racist and had said a truly racist thing, that would have been a unanimous censure, just like Nancy Pelosi asked. And it wasn't a unanimous censure, because it was a political gobbledygookian mess. Ben Carson, the president is not a racist. The hush money campaign, that's all gone because it wasn't hush money. Hush money is where you tell somebody to not talk and you'll pay them $100,000 if they don't talk about a criminal activity. What adults do behind closed doors, consenting adults, what consenting adults do behind closed doors is their business and not the business of anybody else. And if indeed some money changes hands and a non-disclosure agreement is obtained, that is not hush money. There is no crime. Hush money is paid to somebody who's committed a crime. The president did not commit a crime, even if that actually happened. I don't know whether it did. I don't care. It's none of my business. You know why? Because what happens behind closed doors between consenting adults is none of my business. It's none of your business. It's none of Nancy Pelosi's business. It's none of the Republican Party's business. It's nobody's business. We do not elect the Sunday school teacher in chief. We elected a full-grown man. You know, that toxic, masculine, terrible person that everybody hates. Except the one that women chase because, well, gosh, because those toxic, masculine guys, those are the real men in the group, huh? Yeah, I don't need a girlfriend, another girlfriend that has to shave his face and has a prominent Adam's apple, say most women. They're looking for a man. That's what President Trump is. There are a lot of us out there. We're just not the flavor of the month these days, I guess. Eric Trump stepped up and said this: Democrats have no message to bring to the American people, so they're resorting to name-calling and accusations of racism. That's all they've got. That is all they have. This is the most hate-filled group I've ever seen before, he said, calling out anti-Semitic statements and calls to abolish ICE, which led to a protest over the weekend in which demonstrators pulled down an American flag and hosted a Mexican flag in the place at a Colorado ICE facility. Unbelievable. The executive VP of the Trump Organization, again, this is Eric Trump, said, I love the tweet. If you don't love our country, leave. I'm not saying America doesn't have certain problems. Go see the conditions in the world. You'll be fortunate you live here. We are blessed to live in this country. We are. Stop crapping on it. I agree completely. And then there's this. Senator Kamala Harris, the Democrat from California, used President Trump's own words against him when she dramatically told him, go back to where you came from in order to save the United States. I don't think we can survive having a president of the United States who uses whatever voice he has in a way that's about dividing and fueling hate in the country, said the 2020 hopeful. Okay, so that's racist, right? It is, right? When Kamala Harris tells President Trump to go back to where he came from, that's racist, right? So she needs to be censured in the United States Senate, doesn't she? Right? See, this is the thing that you need to keep in mind. These leftist, progressive, anti-American thugs want to have it both ways. They want to be able to call somebody a racist for saying, go back to the country you came from. At the same time, they talk to somebody that they don't like politically and say, go back to where you came from. Oh, there's a big difference. We're not asking him to leave the country. Well, he came from the United States, so if you tell him to go back to the country he came from, you're telling him to go back to where he came from, because you know he's an American citizen. Simple as that. So it's racist, right? Yeah, it's racist. Kamala Harris, just as stained as President Trump over this ridiculous gobbledygookian garbage flying around, authored by Democrats. Well, President Trump should go back to where he belongs. Yeah, where he came from. The House yesterday passed a resolution condemning Trump's remarks. Will the Senate follow in its footsteps? They better. Georgia Republican Doug Collins, whom I'm becoming more impressed with virtually every day, said that Nancy Pelosi's speech on the House floor was clearly over the line, defended his decision to demand her words be stricken from the public record, taken down, if you will. The tensions erupted after the House Speaker condemned the president's racist tweets, introducing a resolution titled Condemning President Trump's Racist Comments Directed at Members of Congress. Collins said the very title of the resolution violates the rules of the House, since it describes a motive to the president by calling him racist. They passed a resolution they cannot read on the floor of the House. That shows you how bad this is. This is nothing but to get the president to make a mockery of their own leadership abilities because they don't like this president. Al Green, congressman from Texas, wants to impeach the president. Why? Has he committed high crimes and misdemeanors? No. There was another investigation against him closed today. There's nothing out there. So why are they trying to impeach the president? Why are they doing it? Because they don't like him. Because they think the people of the United States, all 63 million of them, who elected this president, are stupid. And they need to have a better president. And who decides? A couple of hundred Democrats. What are you, nuts? You talk about the collective hubris of the Democrat Party, and you're talking about something we haven't seen since Julius Caesar. It's unbelievable. Absolutely nuts. And oh, by the way, hey, you don't believe me? You disagree with me? Call me on the telephone. Once again, I'm still waiting for somebody to call me on the telephone and explain the racism in the tweets that President Trump issued last weekend in the first place. Please. That's thing number one. Then if you can actually explain that, then you have to explain why Kamala Harris's tweets aren't racist. I already know what that argument's going to be. Well, Kamala Harris can't be racist because she's black. Oh, yes, she can. It's about skin color, right? What? White people are immune from having racism practiced against them? Really? Is that where we are now? Only white people can be racists? Really? I'm sorry. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. You want to throw things around like racism? Let's go in all the way. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and have that fight, shall we? Let's go ahead and have that debate. Let's have that argument. White people have been discriminated against in major cities like fire departments and police departments and so on for decades. In the broadcasting industry, lots and lots and lots of white people fired because they're too old and too white. Do they sue their former employers? Yes. Do they win? Absolutely. Do they lose their job anyway? Uh-huh. Is that racism? Sure sounds like it to me. Here's the payoff. President Donald Trump, according to Stephen Collinson, may have finally broken Washington. Good. A Trump-induced midsummer madness enveloped the Capitol, melting down some of the last bonds of civility needed for a functioning government system. The uproar set off by President Trump's racist tweets echoed from the White House to Capitol Hill, confirming the truism that no one chooses to go into battle alongside or against the street. Fighting presidents ever emerges truly unscathed. What are you talking about, Stephen? Good grief. Use English. The uproar set off by Trump's racist tweets echoed from the White House to Capitol Hill, confirming the truism that no one who chooses to go into battle alongside or against this street-fighting president ever emerges truly unscathed. That's right. You know why they don't emerge unscathed? Because they are talking out of their hats about stuff they don't know anything about, and they are absolutely positively blinded by their hatred for this guy because he's a non-politician and he's winning, and he threatens everything these people stand for. Oh, and everything these people don't stand for. Oh, and everything these people will not solve because the politics are more important than actually solving the problems they were sent up there to take care of. I'm telling you the news. Have you noticed I haven't used party labels much? There's only one party up there. It's the politician party. And you know what? I got to be honest with you. Hey, you're hauling the mail? Hey, if you're hauling the mail, you know, you're making the country go, finding ways to make us more prosperous, finding us ways to be more free, to have more liberty, give us more opportunity to use our constitutional rights, create a more perfect union. I leave you alone. Do I hate the political infighting? Yes. Do I hate the political reindeer games? Yes. Do I hate the kangaroo courts? Yes. Do I hate all that stuff? Sure. But if you're actually doing the job, I'm not going to complain about you. So do something about that $25 trillion deficit, huh? Do something about your inability to be able to determine when life begins so we can move away from this horrifying debate that gets ever more disgusting every time we have to drag that carcass back and forth in front of the American consciousness. Fix it. How do you fix it, JD? You determine when life begins. We have a legal definition of when life ends. We need a legal definition of when life begins. I assure you, it's not at the moment of birth. I assure you. I know what I believe, but I'm not asking to have somebody pass something that I believe. I'm asking to have somebody pass something that's legal, that we can base legal determinations on. I know what the answer is. So do you. And no, it's not conception. Do I think that life begins at conception? Yes, I do. But am I going to demand that everybody decide that life begins at conception so that I can walk around feeling, well, I got that taken care of. My work here is done. No, because my work would never be done under those circumstances. We know because we've been fighting this fight for half a dang century. Politicians can't solve the problem. Why? Too convenient. Too convenient an issue. It's like the southern border. It's like the southern border. Build a fence. Build a fence. Patrol the fence. Have fencing everywhere there isn't an official, legal port of entry to the United States. Build a fence everywhere there isn't a port of entry. Fix the immigration system to bring the all-stars of the world to the United States to live, instead of the poverty class of every country on earth. If you want to be an American, you're going to have to up your game. That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to go to school. You're going to have to go to university, wherever you're from. You're going to have to figure something out. You have to come up with an idea. You're going to have to come to the United States and do that. A guy named Steinmetz. Steinmetz, an electrical physicist, you probably ought to read up about him because he almost didn't make it into the country because we had a real immigration system back then. You're listening to The Wells Report. This is the USA Radio Network.
It is a horrible scenario, but it happens. Dennis writes about his wife. She was diagnosed with leukemia. In fact, she's a 2-time survivor. And in the midst of all that, they ran up over $1 million in medical bills. Thankfully, they're Medi-Share members. And Dennis says they are so thankful for that, how others came together to meet their needs. And that's how so many Medi-Share members feel. This is not health insurance. It's different. You don't have to pay for things you don't believe in. And like Dennis found out, it just works. So if you join Medi-Share, not only do you save a lot of money, the typical family saves about $500 a month, but you know where your money's going each month. You're helping people, and if the time should come, they'll be helping and even praying for you. So yes, it's different, and as more than 400,000 people now know when it comes to healthcare costs, different is beautiful. Find out more. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
If your credit card bills have gotten out of hand and you care about your credit, call Consolidated Credit now. If the interest rates on your credit cards are so high, it'll take years to get out of debt. Call Consolidated Credit now. They've helped over 6 million people with credit card debt. Without destroying your credit, they can consolidate your debts into one lower payment, reduce your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. The program works. Call Consolidated Credit now. Call 800-406-0046. 800-406-0046. That's 800-406-0046. Consolidated Credit Counseling Services, Inc., 5701 West Sunrise Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33313. Licensed by the New York Department of Financial Services and by the Vermont Department of Financial Regulation. Maryland DM 1492. Oregon DM 80092. Licensed by the Virginia State Corporation. Commission license number DC 83. Service may adversely affect the individual's credit. Non-payment of debt may lead to additional finance charges or collections activity, including legal action, not a loan company.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-561-5716. That's 800-561-5716. Again, 800-561-5716.
That's very nice of you. Oh, shh. The announcer's talking. You are listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Let's see. Isaac, if you want to talk about this, call me on the telephone. I'll talk to you about it. Let's see. What are you talking about? Kamala is Indian and Jamaican. It doesn't make any difference whether Kamala is Indian and Jamaican. It makes no difference. If President Trump will look at somebody that has different skin and say, go back to where you came from because you hate America, and then Kamala Harris looks at the president and says, go back to where you came from because he has different skin, that's just as racist as what the president said. I don't care what her racial background is. You see, that's equality. Doesn't the Democrat Party, don't progressives want everything to be equal? Well, then how come they aren't? All these people walk around with their chests puffed out saying, my gosh, I have done such a great thing for this nation. Ooh, this ridiculous, backward, stupid nation that's filled with dumb butts that need to be properly led and educated, which is why I've had all of my progressive buddies running American education for the last 50 years, and it gets worse every year. Yeah, we need to do more like that. Yeah, okay. What you need to do is go home and sit down. You need to spend the rest of your life spending your dad and mother's and your grandparents' money playing squash. That's what you need to do. You need to go back to Yale, and you need to spend some time doing something that keeps you out of the public eye and away from anything dangerous, like driving or, say, for example, speaking in public. Any of those things. That's what you need to do, because you're a pain in the buttocks. And the rest of us Americans, we simply want to get on with our lives, thank you, without you guys trying to screw it up. What does shall not be abridged mean to you? What do the words, Congress shall make no law, mean to you? What do these little snippets of American history mean to you? Apparently not too dang much. Why? Well, because you're from Yale. My God, I went to the right schools. I can tell 63 million Americans that they're idiots, and they've elected the wrong person, and we should remove him from office. Okay, that's fine. You go right ahead and do that. You know, especially if you like to have your nether regions examined with a flash suppressor of an AR-15. If you don't know what I'm talking about, good. You don't need to go any further. Just the people that know what I'm talking about, they're laughing. Just saying. Yeah, it says chaos reigns in Washington. This is Stephen Collinson from CNN. It sure does. President Trump has broken Washington. No, Washington was broken. President Trump is showing you how badly broken Washington is. Stephen. Oh, wait. This just in, Daniel Dale of CNN can now tell when the president is lying. Explaining how he decided to cancel a possible attack in Iran. We were cocked and loaded to retaliate last night on 3 different sites when asked how many will die. 150 people, sir, was the answer from a general. 10 minutes before the strike, I stopped it. This was also Hollywood. I would have been skeptical regardless of Trump's choice of words, but because he used one particular word, I was almost certain the story was inaccurate. I fact-checked every word President Trump has issued since his inauguration. I can tell you that this president relies on an anecdote in which he says someone referring to him as sir. Then major components of the anecdote is likely to be very wrong. Daniel Dale, CNN. So, Daniel, how's your squash game? You should go find out. Go back to Yale and spend some time playing squash and see if you can still get around that court. I think it'd be a wonderful thing. And put your pen down. Forever. It's not that I don't want you to say what you think you should. I don't. I just don't think you should say anything more because you're a moron. Now, that's me essentially using the same kind of verbiage that I was just criticizing, but apparently that's the game in these particular parts. Oh, my God. I have to read that. I have to spend some time. Oh, this is good news. New York businesswoman Cherie Murray announced she's running against Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in 2020. In a series of tweets announcing her candidacy, Murray, who emigrated to New York from Jamaica when she was 9, she came to the country legally, said Ocasio-Cortez was more worried about being famous than representing her constituents. There's a crisis in Queens. It's called AOC, said the Republican, referring to Ocasio-Cortez by her initials. She said the freshman Democrat seeks celebrity and publicity and thinks public service is not about serving the public, but serving herself. I need to send her some money. You know, I bet you she's got a lousy squash game. I bet she does. Listening to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. This is the Wells Report. Thanks for listening to the USA Radio Network.
This report is brought to you by Crescent Tools. Most toolboxes contain a crescent wrench, which tradesmen and DIYers have trusted for more than a century. But what many call a crescent wrench isn't always the real deal. The reason? True crescent wrenches are made by Crescent Tools, which started producing the adjustable wrench in 1907. However, few realize that Crescent is the brand, not the tool. Nor do they understand that Crescent makes more than just wrenches. Brendan Walsh, Director of Product Management at Crescent Tools.
What a person thinks is a crescent wrench may just be an adjustable wrench, and there's a difference. We've innovated the crescent wrench to meet the needs of today's tool user and have expanded to offer a solid crew of tools in addition to wrenches.
While wrenches are their signature products, Crescent manufactures 2,800 tools including files, snips, storage cabinets, and measuring tapes, establishing Crescent Tools as one of the most respected professional hand tool brands in the world. So, the next time you reach into your toolbox, check to see if it's actually a crescent wrench or an imposter. For more information, visit www.crescenttool.com.